What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome back to Endure, Believe, Rise. I hope this message reaches you in good energy. I hope you and your loved ones are in good health. So we're going to do a question of the day, and the question of the day wasn't asked by anybody. This one was just something that I saw on a friend's page, and the question of the day was, what three things would you go back and tell your younger self? Because I like to mix it up a little bit and make things my own, I'm going to do five. I'm going to rattle them off real quick because at the end of the day, some people just want to hear the five and go on about their day. Some people want to hear the five, and then we're going to break them down, of course, later on. That's what we're going to do for those who want to stay for the whole video. And if it ends up being a long video, of course, I'm going to break it up into a few parts. But the five things that I would go back and tell myself, and I thought about this, was the first one would be your health is your wealth. Prioritize your health. And that's spiritual health, mental health, emotional health, and physical health. To me, for me, my existence, my experience, all three of them, all four of them, tie into each other. The second thing would be to invest more. And that be stock market, that would be stocks and bonds, investment banking, real estate, saving. I would tell myself, hey, money isn't everything, but also make sure you have enough fuel to get where you're going. If you get my analogy there. The third thing would be continue your education. I got an associate's degree as a medical administrator, and I also have I am nationally certified as a medical assistant. So I've achieved a good amount. I wouldn't say a great amount. I wouldn't say astronomical amount, because there's bachelor's degree. Everybody's walking around with a bachelor's degree nowadays. I wish I would have went and got a master's. That's how I feel. The fourth thing would be there's no perfect time. A lot of times I feel like in my life I've been waiting for the perfect timing. I feel like I have gotten too caught up on making sure that I'm doing things too precisely. I didn't want to. There was times where I didn't even want to celebrate. Right? I was like, I don't even want to celebrate because I feel like the timing was off. Right? We accomplished things. I got my degree. We did different stuff. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't even go like to the graduations or the after parties or stuff like that because I didn't want to celebrate. So, one thing that I would tell myself is that, hey, there is no perfect timing. You know, Act now, create the perfect timing. The last thing I would say is stop explaining yourself to people. Um, that sounds a bit narcissistic. Matter of fact, it sounds very narcissistic, and I admit that it is, and I accept that it is, and I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, I think we all have a little bit of narcissism in us. We're all narcissism in some way, and I have stopped arguing with people about narcissism. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but what I would encourage you and what I would encourage my younger self is you don't have to explain yourself to everybody. The people that want to be in your life, they'll stay in your life, right? So I kind of broke a few of them down right there, but those are my five things. Just one thing. I'm gonna recap them real quick before we go into depth. Um, your health is your wealth. Prioritize your health. Uh, I'm drawing a blank. Invest more. Invest your money more. Continue your education. Um, there is no perfect timing. Act now and stop explaining yourself to people. Now, the first one, which is your health is your wealth, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, physical health, right? When we talk about health, the first thing that we usually talk about, or at least people think about, is going to be physical and mental. That's the first thing everybody's thinking about these days is, hey, how are you up here, right? How is your blood work? Do you have any pre-existing conditions? Are you taking medication for that? Are you doing your therapy? Are you doing your treatment? Right? These are the things that people usually think about when they say, "Hey, your health is your wealth." The thing that I want to emphasize also is emotional health and spiritual health, which people really do lack, and people really do. Um, the word, what is the word I'm looking for? they take advantage of, or they don't do check-ins with. They're not conscious of these factors and these areas that exist. And your mental health, your emotional health, these are true things. I ran into somebody actually a few days ago. His emotional health is not good, and I pointed that out to my leadership, and I don't want to make it a big deal, and I don't want to make get the guy in trouble, or but I was like, hey, that guy over there is bubbly, and I think that we have to sit and we have to check ourselves, and we have to ask ourselves, are we upset? Why are we upset, and what are we going to do about it, right? You don't have to stay in a situation if you're upset. You can leave. You can go take a breather. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less of a man to walk away from a situation. Take a deep breath, get yourself back where you're supposed to be, and then act. A matter of fact, it makes you more of a man, in my opinion. It shows that you have control. A monster, a beast, an animal would be somebody who just wows out and does whatever, right? So um, check yourself in all four categories. When it comes to your spirituality, I'm not the guy here who's trying to necessarily lead you to Christianity. That I don't feel like that was my calling. My calling is to motivate the people that are already within Christianity, and even motivate some people who aren't. Whatever denomination you are, that's cool. I'm not here to say you're wrong. I'm not here to say that I'm right. I'm not here to have an argument about it. I know the God I serve. I know the tools and resources that have been put in my life. I know what works for me and what has worked for me and will continue to work for me. And if you want those answers, I'm here to give it to you. And if you have those answers, awesome. You know what I'm saying? I wish you the best. Vaya con Dios, right? But check yourself in all of those areas: your mental, your physical, your emotional, and especially your spiritual. And all four of them, they do tie into each other. So the next thing that I was talking about was investing. I do feel like I've been a bit frugalist with my money and a bit fruitless with my money, and I wish that I would have been. And I'm working on being more reserved. I want to invest more. I'm working on investing more. I have invested more. But if I was talk to my younger self, I would say invest. Real estate, 401k, stocks. You can even do investment banking where you can give the bank a certain amount of money. They'll invest it for you, and then they'll give you the returns on it in a few months. They'll guarantee a certain amount of returns, right? If you put in a certain amount of money, they'll guarantee a certain percentage on it, and then you can, eat off of that, and you can flip it. And if I could go back and do anything different, I would be heavy into that, right? Investment banking, right? And getting into it. Now, of course, for it to really take off, you need like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, right? Millions of dollars. These are people that uh, can live off their investment. But every avalanche has to start as a snowball, right? Every avalanche has to start with one rock. So push that snowball over the hill, push that rock down, and let's get the avalanche going, right? The third thing was continue your education. I was burnt out, and I did to myself, and I didn't take the time to get myself unburnt out but now I'm gearing up to go back to school to get my bachelor's degree within the next year or two. And if I was talking to my younger self, I would say no matter how burnt out you are, as long as your mental health, and I think I could have took it as far as my mental health, as long as your mental health doesn't suffer, you muster through it and you go get your bachelor's at least get your bachelor's, right? Because a lot of leadership positions, a lot of higher up positions, and sometimes even entry level positions want you to have that bachelor's degree for them to even look at your resume. So many people are coming out of school with a bachelor's. They're getting it so much quicker time now. It doesn't take 4 years anymore. It doesn't take 6 years anymore. Now you can do it in a year and a half. You can do it in 2 years. Sometimes you can even do it in 10 months. And not that's that. I wish that I could do it. So just so you know, it's not going to get less restrictive of how much you're going to need to get these jobs. It's going to get more, right? Because the more the competition, the more people out there, the more stringent they're going to. It's supply and demand, right? If there's not enough supply and there's too much demand, then they make the supply, increase. So it's like, okay, we have 5 and there's 10 people who want it. Then instead of just making it a price that all 10 people can have, they're going to raise the price to something that maybe